Welcome back to another explainer. Today we're doing something really exciting. We are completely demystifying YouTube payouts and literally pulling back the curtain on how views turn into cold hard cash in the creator economy. If you've ever watched your favorite creator and wondered about the actual financial engine keeping their channel alive, well, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to take the mystery out of internet monetization and give you the straightforward, structural facts. I mean, it's the burning question, right? How much money do YouTubers actually make? We see these creators with massive subscriber counts, racking up millions of views. But how exactly does all that attention translate into actual cash in the bank? Spoiler alert, it's not magic, and it's certainly not just a flat rate. It is a highly dynamic system driven by data, demographics, and some pretty massive advertising budgets. So let's break down exactly how this whole machine operates, step by step.
Section 1, the mechanics of YouTube money.
Okay, let's dive right into this. The absolute foundational metric of video monetization is CPM. The M stands for mil, which is just Latin for 1,000. So, in plain English, this is the cost per 1,000 views. Whenever you hear creators talking about their rates or how much a piece of content made, this is the baseline they're talking about. It's essentially the raw metric that decides the value of an audience's attention, packaged up in blocks of 1,000. But, here's where it gets a little bit nuanced. We have to understand the difference between CPM and RPM. Think of CPM as the advertiser's wallet. It's the total amount advertisers are willing to pay the platform just to get their ads in front of 1,000 viewers. But, and this is a big but, the creator doesn't get to keep all of that. RPM, or revenue per mil, is what actually lands in the creator's pocket after the platform takes its cut. So the key takeaway here is CPM measures the overall market value of the content, while RPM measures the creator's actual take-home pay. Make sense? Section 2, calculating the view payout. To get our heads around the math, we're going to anchor our expectations using a pretty standard baseline CPM of $5. Just lock that number in your head for a second. $5 for every 1,000 views. Now, I know, $5 might not sound like a life-changing amount of money up front. But remember, the internet is all about scale. So let's see what happens when we apply this $5 CPM to the massive audiences these platforms can generate. Let's put this math into action, shall we? At 1,000 views, you earn that baseline of $5. Okay, decent start. Scale that up a bit to 10,000 views, and you're looking at $50. But when a piece of content really takes off and hits a bigger milestone, say 100,000 views, the numbers jump significantly. You're suddenly looking at around $1,500. And just to put that into perspective globally, that translates to around 40,000 Indian rupees or roughly 150,000 Pakistani rupees. It just goes to show how scaling your viewership fundamentally changes the financial game. But there's a catch. This all assumes the rate stays exactly the same, and in the real world, it almost never does. Section 3, why views are valued differently. So what actually causes your CPM and RPM to bounce around so much? Well, it boils down to a few key factors. First off, the type of content you make absolutely matters. Then you've got the demographics of who is watching, their age, where they live, their purchasing power. That plays a massive role. Seasonality is a big one too. I mean, advertisers spend way more money leading up to the holidays, right? And finally, just pure advertiser demand. If your content targets a very specific niche audience that businesses are just desperate to reach, those eager advertisers will actually bid against each other, which can drive your CPM sky high. Now, the actual format of your content is another massive factor here. Short formats are fantastic for rapid growth. They're quick, they're super easily digestible, and they can rack up thousands of views literally overnight. But because they're so brief, there just isn't much room to pack in ads, which results in a much lower pay-per-view. Long formats, on the flip side, might accumulate views a bit more slowly, but they allow for multiple ad impressions. And hey, more ad space simply means higher revenue per view. It's the classic trade-off, fast and cheap versus slow and lucrative. Section 4, strategies for higher payouts. And this brilliantly illustrates how you can take control. Here is your actionable playbook based on the data. First up, go niche. The more specialized your content is, the more advertisers are willing to pay to reach that specific targeted audience. Second, like we just talked about, create longer videos to allow for more ad impressions. Third, and this is an absolute game changer, optimize your content using high-paying keywords that attract advertisers with the deepest pockets. And fourth, none of this matters if people get bored and click away, so you absolutely must maximize audience retention and keep them watching all the way to the end. Let's zoom in on that third point about keywords for a second. We're talking about words like insurance, investing, and software reviews. Now, why on earth do these specific words matter so much? It's simple. The companies behind these products have massive, massive advertising budgets. A single customer for an insurance company or a high-end software platform is worth a lot of money to them over their lifetime. Because of that, they are more than willing to pay a premium CPM to run ads alongside content that explicitly talks about these topics.
To pull all of this together, if you look at the data, the highest CPM niches are overwhelmingly finance, technology, health, and education. Honestly, these are the gold mines of the creator economy. Tech topics specifically consistently make significantly more money per 1,000 views compared to your run-of-the-mill entertainment content. Basically, if you're creating content in these spaces, you're automatically stepping into a much higher paying bracket because the advertiser demand is just consistently robust.
Which brings us to our final and honestly most crucial takeaway. You can be in the most lucrative tech or finance niche. You can use literally all the right keywords, and you can make longer, highly optimized content. But the whole shebang falls apart if you can't hold your viewers' attention. Higher audience retention directly leads to better CPM rates over time because it signals to the platform that your content is actually valuable. So I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought as you analyze your own viewing habits or content strategy. You might have them hooked at the start, but are you actually keeping your audience watching until the very end? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next deep dive.